SMU's first advantage is a bit of a slight one, but it is noticeable. They have an elite run defense, and they're going against Penn State's good run blocking offensive line. So there is only one tier gap between the two, but it's a noticeable one as SMU is going to force Penn State to be a bit more one dimensional, and that's going to be possibly problematic for Penn State because they don't have a great repertoire of weapons at receiving positions. So that's going to be more magnified if they have to pass more. So this is kind of a twofer. I'm only counting it as one advantage, but it's not only just stopping the run, it's forcing them into passing situations that they don't want to be in for Penn State. The next thing I like for SMU is that Penn State has poor pass blocking, and they're going against SMU's solid pressure game. So that's going to be a little bit scary in conjunction with the aforementioned run defense aspect, as SMU has the chance to really get after Drew Aller and make his life difficult and force him to be passing a lot as well. So those things working in conjunction with each other are not a great combo for Penn State, and that's going to be a big tipping point for SMU because if they can force Penn State to pass more because they stop the run and then they get solid pressure on Aller, that's really dangerous. The next thing I like for SMU is kind of a second look at the advantages we've been talking about, as edge rusher Elijah Roberts is elite as both a pass rusher and a run defender. So it's kind of looking back at both advantages from before, but it's specific to Roberts this time. And he has a great matchup because he's going against a poor offensive tackle in Drew Shelton. So not only is Roberts very good, I'm talking one of the elite edge rushers in all of college football, but he's going against the guy that's can struggle against even the mid-tier edge rushers of the world. Similarly, for the interior now, though, is star Jared Harrison Hunt. He is going against an interior offensive line that is good, so it's a bit different than Drew Shelton, who, like I said, is poor, but they are not up to par with Harrison Hunt on the inside. Hunt is an elite pass rusher and a good run defender. There's a distinction between the two. He's not quite as good against the run as he is as a pass rusher, so he's not going to be single-handedly stopping the inside runs that Penn State can do, but he is going to be pressuring from the interior, which is not what Aller wants to see, I'll tell you that much. The next advantage for SMU is now for the offensive side of the ball, as they have Brashard Smith, who is a stud running back. He is going against a quality run defense in Penn State, but it's not elite. So there is a distinction there again. And Brashard is more than capable of having a good game against even the best run defenses. So to have this slight edge in talent between him and the run defense he's going against, that's really going to be something that could be rather large. The final advantage for SMU is that they have a very good run blocking Matthew Hibner at tight end, and he can be able to target a poor run defending Tony Rojas. Rojas is a very good player. He's one of the premier coverage linebackers in all of football, but he really stinks against the run. So that can be something that SMU can target, and that could really get Smith going at running back if they are able to terrorize Rojas with run block after run block from Hibner. That could really be something that gets Smith some extra yards. As we shift now to Penn State's advantages, if you're enjoying this video, make sure you like and subscribe, as I'm going to be pushing out more football content throughout the year. With that out of the way, Penn State has a lot of advantages as well, as they have for their first advantage that SMU has a quality pass blocking offensive line, but Penn State has an elite pressure defense. That's going to be talked about more, so I'm not going to talk about it very much in this one specific advantage, but they have a really good, really deep pass rush, and there's a lot of star talent on it as well. The next thing I like for Penn State is that they have, as I mentioned before, some really good star talent at edge rusher or pass rush. And at edge rusher, they have a star Abdul Carter, who is, I'd say, at a minimum, one of the 10 best edge rushers in the nation. He is so very good, and he is a real good athlete that can really terrorize basically any tackle, but that's going to be more profound with him going against a poor offensive tackle in Savion Byrd. Byrd, as I mentioned, is just not very good, and he's able to be picked on. So Carter against him is really, really dangerous for SMU. What's also possibly dangerous is that Penn State has an elite AJ Harris who can erase any good SMU wide receiver, as I like to make that distinction. Elite versus good, that's a really big gap. And Harris is certainly elite. I would say SMU's receivers are certainly good. There's nobody that I feel is up to Harris's level, which isn't necessarily a knock on SMU's receivers. It's just sort of praise to Harris. This next advantage is a bit wonky because there's multiple layers to it. But with that said, they have Penn State, that is, has Zane Durant, who is a good, balanced defensive tackle. When I say balanced, I mean he's above average as a run defender and as a pass rusher. So he's a very nice defensive tackle. And his matchup will more than likely be Ben Sparks. Sparks is going to be one-on-one with Durant, more than likely, as Devon J. Thomas will be double teamed by the center and right guard, more than likely. So that leaves Sparks on an island with Durant. Sparks is a big question mark because he was good last year and has been bad this year. So I don't know where to place him, but I have written down Durant, good, Sparks, question mark. I think that's an advantage for Penn State because more than likely Sparks is going to continue to not be so good this year, but he very well could be solid again like last year and make this a moot point. As for the next advantage, we move to the offensive side of the ball now for Penn State. And here they have maybe the best tight end in football with Tyler Warren. He is going against a good linebacker in Kobe Wilson, but you have to be much more than good to stop or slow down even Tyler Warren. As I mentioned, there is a real argument for Warren being the best tight end in football, college football, that is. Let's not get carried away and say football as a whole. But the biggest knock on him is that he doesn't run block well. So if that becomes a factor, that could slow him down some because that's going to get him using his energy in places that he's not really fit to do so. But as a receiver, he's as dangerous as any tight end. The next advantage for Penn State is more of a generalized advantage, as they have a much harder schedule to this point than SMU does. SMU had the 41st hardest schedule as they racked up points. I don't know exactly how the point system works for strength of schedule, but they ranked up 5.9 strength of schedule points. Penn State had the 16th hardest schedule, so 25 spots more difficult, and they racked up 9.6 points, so 3.7 more points than SMU did. In all, Penn State had a 39% harder schedule to this point, which, aside from toughening up the players and getting them prepared for a moment like this, it also makes it to where their players are kind of undersold in their production, whereas SMU's are possibly oversold, meaning Penn State has looked a little bit worse than they otherwise would because they're going against really good teams. And SMU is going against weaker competition, so they're going to look better. So when I say that Elijah Roberts is a stud, he's still very good. He's not going to be going from a stud to a scrub, but he might be going from a stud to just being very good. And when I say that, a player for Penn State is good, they might actually be great. So that is the difference that the strength of schedule makes, and it's a very large one. The final difference, or advantage for Penn State rather, is that they have home field advantage, which I think matters a fair bit in college. It matters a little bit in the pros as well, but I think it matters even more in college, so that's a nice advantage to have. All in all, this is going to be a great game. I think it very well could be much closer than the 8-point spread. I almost said 7, but I believe it's 8 points now. 8-point spread for Penn State versus SMU, or over SMU, I should say. I think it's going to be much closer than that. But I have started to really lean Penn State in this matchup. I think that SMU is going to be a worthy opponent for sure, but I like that Penn State has some real star talent advantages across the board, be it at tight end or edge rusher or a corner. And then just the defensive line as a whole is very, very vicious. So that's going to be tough for SMU to handle. SMU could very well pull out this game, but I'm going to go with Penn State here. Those are my thoughts on the game. Be sure to let me know what yours are in the comment section, and also be sure to like and subscribe for more football content.